Good day, everyone. Welcome to Two Dudes in a Room.
Guten Abend. How is everybody doing this lovely day of ours? I'm happy to have you guys back with us for another week of conversation, really. How you doing, Nathan?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling a little bit like a lower energy just because of last night.
Okay.
But
I feel like Kodak Black in 2015, so that's just me.
Dude, it's literally been 35 seconds.
Yep. And you know,
and already
you have to
that
come with that
comedy
energy.
genius is coming out.
Yep. You have to come with that energy. That's how you have to bring it.
Yeah.
So this week, actually, why don't we explain to the people what happened in the past week so they can get caught up on what's going to be going on going forward?
You talking about
The Gambit? Yes, the Gambit.
Right.
I am talking about the Gambit.
Okay, well, I'll let you explain what the actual Gambit was, but let me explain the stuff leading up to that.
Okay, for sure.
So, Oscar and I have had this thing going on where he'll ask me to partake in one of his interests and give it an honest shot. And
Give the old college try.
give it the old college try. And that first one happened to be the entire anime of One Piece, which I am happy to say that I am now in 1.0 and finishing it out.
Yay.
I'm in Act 2. I watched some more and I'm still going. But anyway, point is, so then I said, hey, Oscar, I would like you to give one of my favorite games of all time a try, Dark Souls. And Oscar is, how do I say this? When you imagine, the people listening to this.
Be very careful.
No, I'm not. Hey, I'm not going to do you wrong, okay?
Okay.
You trust me on this? Right? It's about the Gambit. That's all it's about.
All right, fine.
All right?
Sure, I trust you.
All right. So what I was saying was, if you're listening to this and you might not have played Dark Souls, but you probably have heard someone at some time talk about Dark Souls. It's kind of like over the internet and stuff if you're in the gaming space at all. It's a very difficult game, okay? Now, if you already know it, I want you to think to yourself, when I say a Dark Souls player, what's the kind of person that comes into your mind, right? It's probably like,
Joyless.
huh?
Someone who's joyless. They don't smile often. When they look at a sunrise, they don't feel anything on the inside because they're dead inside because they play this game.
Well, now, what do you think? What comes to your mind when I say Madden player?
Somebody who very much likes punishing themselves.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You don't think that would be the case for a Dark Souls player? That they would like to punish themselves?
They do like to punish themselves.
Right. So they're more alike than you may give them credit.
Sure.
Interesting that you say that.
Sure.
That you've stumbled upon this point now by
Right.
doing that.
Right.
But Oscar's pretty much the opposite of what you would imagine when you think of a Dark Souls player. Pretty much the exact opposite. So he doesn't really play these kinds of games. I asked him, if he were to play Elden Ring, what he would do in the open world. And he told me that he wouldn't know what to do because usually in open world games, he just follows the story and goes where the waypoints tell him to go and stuff. So he's this is a new thing for him. So, there's some learning that needs to happen. He's super new to the game, and so he's not the best at it right now. And Dark Souls especially Dark Souls 1 can be, particularly frustrating, especially if you're as bad as Oscar is. So he's been struggling a lot. And, it basically got to the point where he was just done. He was just like, I don't want to do this. It's not fun for me. He didn't even get past the second boss. And that was that. And then Oscar, he sat down and he thought about it. He thought to himself. And apparently something in his brain realized that playing Dark Souls would be good for him. Because he came back one day and told me that he had constructed this deal, and
It's a gambit.
yeah, I know you love that word, bro. You constructed
It's called branding. Yes. Go ahead.
You constructed this deal, and if we both accept it, we both just do it perpetually. So, Oscar, I'll let you explain the deal.
All right, let me give my side of the story. First of all, I would like to say that I never forced him. Like, I didn't ask him to watch One Piece, I don't believe. I believe
that is a complete and utter lie.
Well,
what you just said is completely false.
Well, I told them how good it was. Here's the thing.
No.
Here's the thing. When it started,
fellas, he did everything a friend can possibly do to push you to insinuate, to peer pressure you, to get you to everything you can imagine a friend doing. He did that to get you to watch One Piece. He never forced me. He never fucking made me feel bad or emotionally manipulated me. Right. Well, he did once. But
when was that?
When we were watching other shows and you'd be like, I can't be watching One Piece right now, but I guess that's fine. Just stuff like, he'd say stuff like that, little comments like that. Okay. Oh man, God, I wish you'd watch One Piece. He did all that. So when he says I didn't force him to watch One Piece, just know that that's all the other stuff.
I was never like, oh man, I was just kind of recommending it. And when you recommend One Piece, because of the type of show that it is, because it's so long, you can't just say, hey, man, you should just check this show out. Because having a 1,000-episode show that starts out pretty slow, people will fall off. So if you don't hype it up enough, people will watch it, be like, oh, I think I get the gist of what's going on. And, I haven't even made it out of East Blue, so I'm just going to give up. No, that's...
Right, like what you did with Dark Souls 1 when you got to the second boss.
Well, yes.
Right, so what's the deal?
Anyway, so I just wanted to point that out. I guess I don't remember being that forceful about it, saying like, hey, you have to watch it or whatever. But the thing that I remember is I remember him coming to me and he said, you know what, man, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it all the way through, and then I'm going to get to Wano, and then we're going to watch together weekly. Oh no, that was our deal, is that I would watch it. No, okay. So here's the real deal. In order to get him to watch One Piece, I had to give up reading spoilers and the manga for One Piece, so I could no longer be ahead. So there's going to be a point to where when he catches up, I have to stop reading the manga, and I have to stop reading spoilers, and I have to purge my entire internet fingerprint so that One Piece doesn't appear on my timeline or anything, so I don't get spoiled on it, just like a regular person just watching the anime. So I have to go to anime only, and I'm doing that so he'll watch. And then we'll watch together from then on until the show ends, basically.
Right.
So that was the original. That was the original.
Well,
deal.
Actually, I started watching, and then you started talking about that stuff, and then you were like, "You know what, bro? If you make it to Wano, I'll be very surprised." And then I was like, "I'm gonna do it." I tell you what, if I make it to Wano, if I watch this shit all the way through, then what you said, and you were like, "Fuck it," and then you were like, "Wait, why did I agree to that?"
Exactly. To be honest. And I'll say this willingly, I never thought he'd get this far, honestly.
Here I am, boy.
And here he is. So that was the original deal. So I don't. When he says I got him to watch One Piece, I don't. Well, it's not like I got him to watch it for nothing. I have to give something up too.
Well, no, you did originally because that deal wasn't a thing originally. And then you were betting.
I thought that you didn't start until after that deal.
No, that's not true. We were watching One Piece when that happened. You were in a call with me, and we were watching One Piece.
No. You weren't. No, when we made that deal, I was physically here, and because I remember that deal.
And what were we doing
in the kitchen? I don't remember what we were doing. I don't remember if maybe we
no,
were drunk
it wasn't
or
in the
something.
kitchen. It was in my room, dude.
It was
I'm
in
telling
the kitchen,
you.
dude.
I'm telling you, it was in my room. The Gambit was in the kitchen.
I firmly remember it. Anyway, people don't want to hear this.
Yes.
People want to hear about the Gambit.
Yes.
So anyway,
I've been trying to get there, bro. In my
mind, we already had a deal for watching One Piece. That wasn't part of any. I was already giving something up for him to watch.
He wasn't.
Basically, in my mind.
Right.
Okay, let me finish. So, for a long time, I've had this plan, this 3-part plan. And part 1 was getting people in this house to watch One Piece. And that's pretty much happened. Nathan and 2 of our other friends have started watching One Piece ever since that time that we first made that deal. and they've gotten very far, and everybody's pretty much, for the most part, enjoying it. And that was kind of what I wanted to get out of it, is the people I could talk to about it and have intelligent conversations about. I have other things in my life that I would like to do that with, and one of those things was pro wrestling. I love pro wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a part of my life since I was probably 11, 12 years old, dude. And so, but the thing is that I don't have a lot of people to talk about it with. I don't have a lot of people to enjoy it with or watch it with. There have been times in my life where I have been watching it and somebody will come down and watch with me, and like I'll have a great time, and that person will leave, and then I'll be like, oh man, I really wish I could just like sit and have people to enjoy it with. So what I decided was like, okay, I want to keep true to myself and experience different things, right? But I also want my friends to do that too. My friends will never, ever watch it. Like, I could do what I did with One Piece for 1,000,000 years, and there's no chance that this dude would ever give it wrestling a shot. So I decided, well, let's have some equivalent exchange, a quid pro quo, a gambit, if you will. The reason that it's a gambit is that he has to, for 2 hours a week, watch AEW Dynamite, an episode. And for that, I will play to completion any Dark Souls game he wants me to. And until I finish that game, he has to keep watching every week. So I can for every week, I can sit there and play Dark Souls for 6 hours if we so happen to do that.
Just think about that. Just think about what's going on here, what he deems as equivalent exchange.
Yeah.
He gets to play Elden Ring, and I have to watch pro wrestling. Just think about that for a second.
It's just an equivalent exchange. It's an exchange of ideas. So it's just something to get us out of our comfort zone. Because if it were not for this deal, I would never play Dark Souls. I told them when they
and I hope to change that.
And I think this is a little different from One Piece, because you weren't like totally against watching One Piece. It was just that it was like a time commitment. It wasn't like you hated the show or anything like that. I absolutely hated Dark. Like, I just don't like games like that because it gets me frustrated. I stopped playing Madden because of how heated I would get, and I didn't like being like that. So I removed it from my life so I didn't have to feel that kind of stress and put that kind of pressure on my body, and like it would like raise my blood pressure and shit. So I took that completely out of my life. And then here come these guys, like, oh, you have to play Dark Souls. And so I was like, okay, fine. If I'm playing Dark Souls, you have to do something for me. I didn't think, the reason that it was a gambit is that I didn't think that he would agree to it. It was just supposed to be like this crazy play, like, okay, well, this is my one and only shot that I'm going to get at him ever giving wrestling a shot. Might as well make it count. And lo and behold, he agreed pretty fast too. Like it did not take much convincing. So that's what we're going to be doing over the next however long it takes me to beat Dark Souls or Elden Ring. And I was hoping that we can give the people maybe like a weekly update on where we are in our journeys of self-discovery.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is going to be the interesting part, is talking about, what it was like this week, because I would love to hear your thoughts on Elden Ring and what you've been doing. I think you're going to like it a lot more than Dark Souls. You already saw some of it. I think you can tell that it's going to be a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I spoke with Bob because I remember what you said about how you basically what he said was, yeah, I might be more interested in it, I think is what you said, if I could build like a badass character,
Right.
And not only in Elden Ring do you have the most amount of character creation options out of any of the Dark Souls games, but in Elden Ring you have the most amount of weapons, the most amount of spells, the most amount of incantations, the most amount of weapon arts, flexibility with putting weapon arts on different weapons, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Elden Ring is a bit more of a hybrid stat. It allows for more hybrid builds versus the other games that are traditionally more like, you go all strength, you go all dex, you do quality, you go faith, you go, intelligence, whatever.
Right.
So I actually think that there are lots of really cool combinations that you'll enjoy.
Does this make the fights any more enjoyable though?
Yeah, they change how you fight. They
Right.
totally change how you fight. So like, if you're a strength build, you can get like a guts greatsword, and you can get an Ash of War called Bloodhound Step that allows you to do shave from one piece, right?
Right.
So imagine that. Just imagine having like a guts size greatsword, right? And you just press a button and you like just like teleport. I mean, you don't teleport. You like slide and turn invisible and like phase out of reality, and then you come back in and you're somewhere else.
Right.
So you can like do that on command, and you can also do it to avoid attacks.
Right.
You can like shave through the attack. And you're asking me, does that change how the combat works? Yeah, obviously, right? I mean, obviously that
Does
changes.
it make it any less frustrating, I guess, is the better question.
I would say it makes it less frustrating because you have more tools than ever to deal with the bullshit that the game throws at you.
Okay.
So like in Dark Souls 1, it's just you, bro. You're just a dude in some armor walking around with a sword, The bosses are like fucking doing all this crazy shit, hitting you with fire, right? Like the gargoyles, right?
Right.
Fire, breathing flame on you. Fucking, you're having to fight 2 in 1.
Just ganking
They're
you
ganking
constantly.
the shit out of you. They're doing all this crazy shit. And you don't have, don't get me wrong, you can get broken in Dark Souls 1, but getting broken in Dark Souls 1 is more of getting your stats up, getting your weapon reinforcements up, learning how to maximize on damage scaling. That's what makes you fuck on enemies. But in Elden Ring, dude, you got that Bloodhound Step thing I told you about, okay?
Okay.
You got pyromancies, you can throw fire at them from far away. You got sorceries where you can like press a button and it makes a bunch of floating swords around you.
Yeah.
And then as you attack, they'll shoot later of their own will.
Right.
So that's just on you, and you can just do other things, and then it shoots it. There's like poison you can apply to your weapon. You can give the opponent like a rot. You can put enemies to sleep. You can ring a bell, and it raises spirits, and those spirits will fight for you. And you can unlock a spirit for almost every type of
So
enemy in the
slavery.
game. Well, they're like souls. They're not like
Right. They're not real people, is what you're saying.
What if they're literally wolves? Literally spirit wolves. What are you going to say then?
Right. What are
you going to say then?
I don't think that defense helped Michael Vick in his when he went on trial for fighting animals.
Ladies and gentlemen, the comedy genius.
Yes. Anyway, I would like
So
to take.
there's all those tools. I just want to say there's all these tools that you can do that helps you have bullshit too, is what I'm trying to say. They have bullshit, you have bullshit.
That Michael Vick line was funny. Fuck you.
Oh my god.
Fuck you.
Let
Fuck
it
you
go.
for trying to
Let
make
it go.
me feel bad about making an A+ joke.
Don't be a sore loser when your
I'm not
joke
being a
isn't
sore-
good.
It's
all
pretty
right?
fucking funny.
But my point is, you have bullshit to deal with the game's bullshit.
Right.
Right? If that boss is fucking on you and you're getting frustrated and upset, stop fighting that boss. Go somewhere else. Just
Right.
go somewhere else.
Right.
Right? I know you're not good at that, but you got to learn how to do that. Just go somewhere else. And then you'll get some equipment, you'll get some bullshit, right? And you'll come back and you'll fuck on that boss too. So that's what I would say.
Okay. So before we leave this topic, I would like for each of us to give the people at home like our pitch to why you should do the thing that we're doing in the Gambit. So like your thing, like if you had to pitch to somebody who's never played Dark Souls before why they should play Dark Souls, how would you do that?
Oh, jeez. I mean,
just to give them an idea of like what we're dealing with here.
like why play Dark Souls? Is that your question?
Yeah, and if you want to, people at home, you can even start either watching wrestling along with us or playing Dark Souls, and then tell us your experiences about them. And maybe we can all learn together, to expand our horizons. And we could possibly do more in the future with this.
Yeah, and I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
No, here's what I would say about why someone would play like a Dark Souls game.
Who's probably, well, let's say even somebody who's never picked up a video game before or something like that.
Don't. Dark Souls should not be your first video game. Don't do it. If you've never played a video game in your life, don't play Dark Souls.
Go play Candy Crush. Get pretty good at that. Then you can hop on Dark Souls.
Yeah, experience getting good at a game. Experience that. Go anything. You know, it could be fucking anything, any game. But go experience becoming good at a game. You don't have to master it. You don't have to be the top 1% or anything, or go competitive or play ranked or anything like that. But go play a difficult game. Go play a difficult game and become a little more experienced. And then just know that this waits for you. This experience is for you. It awaits you. And when you do that, then play something like Dark Souls. If you're a normal gamer and you've played a fair amount of games, I'm sure you can have fun with Dark Souls. But Dark Souls is a game that is incredibly fulfilling. It's one of the most fulfilling gaming experiences that I've ever had, because the game world is difficult. But I've played a lot of games that are hard. I've played a lot of games that try and copy Dark Souls. They call them Souls-likes, you know? Like, that's a thing. And there's a difference. There's a difference between games that add, and there's lots of video essays on this too. You can learn about this topic and like disagree and like have your, like, there's different schools of thought on it. But there's a difference between difficulty in a video game and artificial difficulty in a video game. Okay? And artificial difficulty is a moment where you experience a challenge or die in the game or whatever, or get hit, and you truly feel as if there's nothing you could have done. It was just the game. The game just fucked you over, and it was out of your control. That's artificial difficulty. So it's not earned. It's not a feeling, whereas normal difficulty is, okay, that might have been some bullshit, like, I can't believe they threw that at me, but now I can dodge it, right? I'm not good enough. I got hit by that because I'm not good enough. That is what, proper difficulty in a game feels like. And in Dark Souls games specifically, not the fucking ripoff ones or other hard games you might be able to think of, the difficulty for the majority of the game is not artificial. It's very difficult, but it is a genuine challenge that you can overcome. And when you do overcome it, you become so skilled in the game, and you're able to fight like an anime character. I mean, you'll literally dodge and weave through attacks. Things that you knew were difficult, you'll climb that mountain of difficulty, and all along the way you will see these moments where you realize you're better than you were before. And at the very top, you'll reach that peak where you beat the game. And at that peak, boy, did they have something for you. They've got the most challenging bosses, the most epic grand battles where you're fighting fucking dragons or like massive golems. You'll travel across amazing worlds with like a huge variety of enemies, all with unique mechanics, an amazing array of weaponry, different combat styles, sorcery, spells, everything you can imagine. All that is in store for you. But you have to pay the toll. And the toll is you have to try to get good. That's the toll you pay. And if you do that, it's an amazingly fulfilling experience. And I recommend it for anyone. So that is why that is the main thing I enjoy from Dark Souls games, personally.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I'm glad that you're so passionate about it, I'm glad that you have something that you feel this way about. And you want others to experience that.
And if you're not good at the game, it's just not for you. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay to play the game and just decide that instead of, taking on the challenge, realizing that you're bad, and learning however you need to learn. If you're like me, you need to learn through YouTube videos, or if you're like someone else, you need to learn by just bashing your head against a wall until you have a breakthrough. If you choose to walk away and not learn and improve, then that's your choice.
Okay. I'm gonna give you. I'll probably make this short and sweet. On why I believe that someone should watch pro wrestling if they've never watched it before. First things first. we all know that wrestling's not real. It's fake. Big whoop. If you go into a movie theater and you go to watch the Avengers and you sit down and you think that like, oh my God, Iron Man just like literally shot a laser at, this building in New York City, and then you later on go to New York City expecting that blast to be there, and it's not. I got a surprise for you. It's fake, and that's okay. The art of pro wrestling, it's a vehicle for storytelling at its base form. That's what it's about. It's about two individuals at a certain point of their lives meeting and having conflict, and then resolving that conflict. Wrestling can be funny. Wrestling can be heartbreaking. Wrestling can be violent and intense. It can do all that while blurring the lines of reality and fiction in a way that other mediums just can't. There are some certain points in wrestling to where you honestly can't tell who's talking. Is it the person behind the character, or is it the character themselves? Because the things that those two people go through, are similar things. They're like the same person, and so it's just something you don't see like that. Like you'll never see like, Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man completely like aligning in a way that where you couldn't tell like who's who, if you knew the actor, right, and the character, that probably will never happen. And so that's something that you get in wrestling that like you just can't get anywhere else. And not to mention that the level of professional excellence that each one of them have to do what they do on a weekly basis, it deserves praise, and it deserves not to get shit on for no reason, even if you've like never watched it. Give it a chance. People work for years. Like this is a lot of their childhood dreams to work on this level, and to be an expert at their craft at that level. There's really nothing like it. So I would just highly suggest, if you haven't watched wrestling before, just give it a shot. Sit down. It really doesn't. I would recommend AEW over WWE, but it really doesn't matter. Sit down and just watch an episode and see if there isn't something that's for you. Maybe you like more of the comedy side. Maybe you like more of the serious, big fight main event stuff. But wrestling has a little bit of something for everybody, and I really think that you shouldn't, just push it aside because you may think like, oh, this isn't like the UFC, this isn't real. So just give it a shot. That's all, and that's gonna be my spiel on it.
Well, all right.
Yeah. With that out of the way, you alluded to it earlier, that last night was kind of crazy. Would you like to tell the people what we did last night?
Yeah, well, we got a buddy of ours who I've known for almost 12 years now, who's, I won't say what state he was in, but he was in, it's pretty much across the country from us, and he's visiting. It's his first time visiting here. I've met him before one other time in person. I went to another state, and he went there too. We met, but this is his first time coming here to Texas, and so he's here for like a week, and so we're trying to give him a view of Austin, let him see the sights, take him around. And last night was 6th Street. So we left the house at, I think it was like 10:30, right?
Yeah, like 10:30.
Yeah, we left the house at 10:30, got there just before 11, and we went to Buckshot's, and we started the night off with a round of shots for everybody.
Yeah.
And I believe I got a sour apple Jolly Rancher. You got, what did you get?
I got a pickleback shot.
Yeah, you got a pickleback shot. How was that?
It's actually pretty good. That was like the first pickleback shot I ever had.
Yeah, he likes pickle juice.
Yeah, I just knew of that type of shot from working at a restaurant. We sold it, and it sounded pretty good, but I just never tried it.
Yeah. Well, that's what we had. And then I think we had another shot And then 6th Street was starting to get more popular, and so we went to Shakespeare's, and we got a drink there called the Adios MFer, I'll say, and that thing was it's literally a pitcher, and I think it's just 3 ingredients. It was like some sort of blue, might have been like
blue curacao.
Is it curacao?
Yeah.
Okay, that explains it. It might be 2 ingredients then. So it's blue curacao and I think tequila. I think it's just like a white agave tequila.
And a shit ton of ice.
But it's a lot of liquid. Don't make it sound like there's not a lot of liquid in that thing.
Yeah, it is a lot.
And we had that, and
it'll get you drunk.
It'll get you drunk, and it's a lot. So we drank that while partying at Shakespeare's, and then we were all feeling pretty good after that. So we went to the shop to get some stuff, and then do you remember where we went after that, Oscar? After the store, I think we went to
I think that was when we went to.
No, we went upstairs. We let him pick the. We let him pick. No. We let John pick the place.
Yeah.
We let John pick the place. We went upstairs. They had one of those punching machines.
Yeah.
And so we started doing that, and then we hopped. We went to some more bars. We went to like Voodoo. We went to Rooftop. We went to a bunch of different places, but we stayed out pretty late, man. We stayed out until like they closed, like 2.
Yeah.
And then we came home, and let's just say that when we got home, some of us engaged in some other substances, and we played some Smash, and I got hella fucked up, and it was fun.
Yeah.
And it was a great way to let off steam from the week, and yeah.
Yeah. I would like to ask you, like, when did you start, like, what was, like, the age that you started, like, really going out and partying and, like, experiencing that? And remember that, what is it called? What's it called when, like, a crime doesn't count anymore?
Statute of limitations.
Statute of limitations probably up.
Well, I never partied. I never went out and like partied at like 6 and stuff like that before I was 21.
Okay.
I literally never did that, and I wasn't much of a partier, so I never had a time in my life where I really started going out there and partying. That never really happened. I had my first experience, when I was like 22 or 20. I think it might have been 21, but I think it was when I was 22. But I didn't really ever do that. I do have a pretty interesting story for the first time I ever drank alcohol, but that's a different thing. So I was pretty young. I mean, I was like 21 when I like went out like that, but I had tried stuff before 21,
Right.
So, but it wasn't until like my 21st and 22nd birthday that I really experienced like acid and that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's around when I was probably, partying a little bit more.
Right.
And now I'll either I'll drink socially, or if the boys want to go out, sometimes we'll go out. And that's it, I mean.
What was like the wildest night you ever had?
Oh, dude. The wildest night I ever had.
What was like the night that it was just like it kind of got out of hand?
I've never had one. I mean, I've
Really?
I've had a night where I got too drunk, if that's what you're asking.
Okay.
But I never had a night where, listen, dude, you gotta understand, I've seen your friends bash their head into a brick wall when they were drunk.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
I don't have those kind of
Shout out
people.
Park.
Yeah, I don't have those kind of people, dude. I'm not like going out doing crazy shit,
Well, I feel like I'm kind of tainted because I started drinking around Marines. Like that's why.
Yeah,
I had it,
dude.
like,
When we go out, we just
itself.
go out to a bar, we drink, we go to the next bar, we drink, we go to the next bar, we drink. We party. That's it. Like, we don't ever like gamble shit or like do. I bet you can't jump over that, or like we don't do any wild shit really.
Yeah.
We don't. We also don't. We're not like Micah where we lose articles of clothing like our shoes, or our wallet or shit like that. Like, I don't know. We just don't really. So I've never had like. I mean, I've done some crazy shit.
Yeah.
But I've never had a night that was like
just tell me
just got so wild that I.
Tell me your craziest experience. Like, what's your hangover moment like that you're just like, man, this is like.
Well, probably the first the first time I ever drank alcohol.
Okay. I'm curious.
Well, all right. So basically, a friend of mine, a good friend of mine who got me my first job in the graphic design industry, my first like real solid job, you know. And this was when I was like 19. He had his own business, and let's just say that business required like its own space. So he had a brick and mortar like shop, you know.
Yeah.
And the business would work on cars and stuff. So he had like a big old like warehouse kind of space where, you know, multiple cars could be stored.
Right.
And he was having this big birthday party. Or no, I think it wasn't a birthday party. I think it was him celebrating his business doing well, I think. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It was something like that. He's going to get pissed that I don't remember what it was for. But I don't. It was so long ago. I was like 19, you know?
Okay.
Anyway, it was this pretty big party. He invited me. I, in turn, invited all my friends. And it's crazy. Like, I don't think I've ever had a more wide array of friends show up for a party than that one. I had, like, everybody from, like, my high school day. Everybody showed up. And at this point in my life, I had never gotten drunk before. I had smoked weed before, but
okay.
I had never gotten drunk before. And I had alcohol, you know,
right.
I could handle it, like the taste of it,
right?
But I had never felt what it was like to be drunk. Yeah, right. So, and I was kind of scared of it, to be honest. I was kind of scared of, like, you know, oh, it's gonna alter my state. Like, what's it gonna be like, you know? But I was curious at the same time, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to know. And the thing is, I was the designated driver for this event. I was the DD. And I did that so I could get out of being peer pressured to drink. That's why I did it. Not because I wanted to help my friends and get them there, but because I wanted to avoid that social situation.
Right.
That's how my brain works.
So you were the DD?
I was the designated driver, yes.
And this is your first experience getting drunk.
That's right.
That's very interesting. All right.
You know why it's interesting to you?
Why?
Because you haven't heard the rest of the story.
Okay. Well, we'll hear the rest of the story.
So we get there, and it's just winding up. It's a nice space, and there's like a big old table that's got like a bunch of party stuff on it. It's got like candy. It's got like some snacks, you know, like the little sandwiches and charcuterie boards and stuff.
Yeah, like some Little Debbie's.
Yeah, there's just stuff like that. And then there's like a whole bar for like, you know, all the alcohol.
Right.
And so we show up and we just start hanging out, and Mike is there, Nick is there, a bunch of my friends are there, and they just start drinking. You know, Micah just starts drinking, and we're all chilling. And then as the night goes on, you know, it's just kind of like me hanging out with my friends while they're getting fucked up, which is fun for me. I like to see them in that state and like talk with them. You know, it's fun for me. But it was kind of awkward talking to other people that I didn't know, you know, because like I'm not super like outgoing, right?
Right.
So it was kind of awkward. And every time this guy, like I said, this friend of mine who was running the party, he kept coming by to me, man. He was like, "Come on, man, you should drink. You know, you've never had a drink before. Like, you don't have to get crazy." But oh, I remember. It was a New Year's party.
Okay.
That's what it was. It was New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, I think.
That's funny.
And
that's actually funny.
So it was a New Year's party, and so he was like, "Come on, man, it's New Year's. Like, if there's any day to give, what better occasion to give drinking your first try than New Year's Eve?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
the night that everyone celebrates the turn of the year.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it made sense. And I just kept telling him, "No, man, I'm the DD. I'm the designated driver. Like, I can't do it." He's like, "Oh, all right. Yeah, right." And then I told Nick, I was like, "Yeah, man, everyone's asking me to drink, you know, or he keeps asking me to drink. I'm the DD." And he was like, "Dude, I'll drive." And I was like, "What do you mean? I thought you wanted to drink. Like, I was going to be DD so you could drink."
Right.
Nick has a thing where his body doesn't process alcohol. And it's gotten like it started to wear off the older he gets, I've noticed.
Right.
But at that time, I've seen that man drink Everclear, and he can do backflips, you know? Like,
right.
He's sober,
right.
super sober. So his body won't, and I don't know why, but there's like a thing in his body, and his body processes alcohol just differently. It just doesn't. So he's like the best DD ever.
Right.
And he was offering it to me so that I could experience this thing.
Yeah.
And now my one like bastion I was using to avoid drinking has been taken from me.
Yeah.
And I can't make a logical argument against it.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not like he's going to get
you're
drunk.
underage, but okay. No.
Well, yeah, but so was everyone else drinking there, and I knew we were going to be okay. You know what I mean? So now it's gone, and I couldn't make a logical argument against it because it's not like he was going to get drunk anyway. It's not like now he's going to be missing out on some experience because he's DDing for me.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? Fuck it.
That's the best. Yeah.
Fuck it. It's New Year's. Everyone around me is having fun.
What could possibly go wrong?
I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try drinking. Here's what went wrong. There's a couple factors that were at play here that I would say negatively influenced the experience. Okay.
Okay.
Number one, you have to remember that at this point, several hours had passed. Because of that, there was very little alcohol left.
Right.
So the only thing they had left was just straight Kentucky bourbon whiskey.
Ooh.
I believe it was Jack Daniels. Mm-hmm. I don't think it might. I think it was Jack Daniels.
Okay.
That's all they had left. That's factor number one. Okay. Number two, no shot glasses left. All they had were red Solo cups.
Ooh.
Now, if you go to college, if I had gone to college or had those, a frat experience or a party experience before,
You know about the rings.
I would know about the rings.
Right.
But I didn't know about the rings.
Fair.
So I just figured I'd pour what it looked like a shot to me.
Okay.
So that's factor number two.
Got it.
Factor number three is that I was on an empty stomach. And that's a big factor.
Yeah, it is.
And because the party had gone on for so long, the only snack left in the party was like bread. It was like, these little like sandwiches that were shitty. It was like 2 slices of ham and just bread. It was basically just bread,
Right.
That's all they had left. So even if I were to try to eat something, it would just soak up the alcohol.
Right.
Right. The fifth thing is, I at that time weighed, I believe, 110 pounds. Soaking wet.
Wow. Okay.
So to say I was a lightweight would be an understatement.
Yeah.
It would not do how much of a lightweight I was service.
Right.
And the final factor, and possibly the worst one, like I said earlier, you may have heard, I had smoked before.
Right.
Smoking weed was my only past experience being under the influence of a substance.
Being basically not sober.
Yes.
Okay.
That only one. Outside of like getting dental surgery and they give you like some sort of drug,
Right.
Vicodin, which I had once.
Okay.
That's my only experience. I thought it worked like weed. I thought you drink it, it hits you in like 5 minutes, and it's there. It's there.
Oh man, dude.
It's there, and then it goes away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how weed works.
Of course.
Hits you, it stays, and then it goes away.
Weed, alcohol, same thing, basically.
Same thing. And I didn't make this conscious like thought. It's not like I had that thought in that night,
Yeah.
But I just subconsciously assumed that that's what would happen because of those past experiences. I didn't really think to myself and go, how does alcohol really work? Now, any of y'all who drink know that is the farthest from how alcohol works. That shit is a slow ramp, and then it fades away. And the slowness of that ramp depends on how much you have in your stomach, right? Or the level of the alcohol content you're consuming. And if you paid attention, I had nothing in my stomach.
Right.
The only thing they had left was Jack Daniels.
Right.
And I was drinking more than a shot per shot.
Right.
So my dumbass just decided, you know what? I'll drink and stop when I feel something.
Yes.
That's what I did.
Okay.
So I poured Jack Daniel's straight whiskey into a red Solo cup, grossly overshooting the amount of alcohol, and drank and poured another one because I didn't feel anything and drank. And poured another one because I didn't feel anything and drank.
Right.
And poured another one because I didn't feel... And I drank... I must have drank...
He's a monster.
Well, I didn't know.
Yeah, I
you
know.
God, I must have drank. I drank a lot of alcohol without realizing what I was doing.
Right.
That was a fucking mistake.
Yes.
That night...
It's how we learn, though.
Yes, it is. But that night was in what I would describe as 5 stages, okay? The first stage was me experiencing what it was like to have a buzz for the first time. My face felt that feeling. You feel
Right.
kind of warm.
Right.
Things become a little lighter. Great experience. Talking with friends. Phase 2, I was getting a little turn, you know? Just a little turn.
Yeah, you're feeling it now.
And now I was having fun, right?
Yeah.
I was like talking with Micah, shooting the shit. I could talk to anybody at the party without any social like anxiety, which was great. I'd never felt that before, you know?
Right.
So I was going around doing whatever. And then later, things got to phase 3. Phase 3, all I remember from phase 3 is being in Nick's car because we had to drop someone off and then come back to the party.
Right.
And at phase 3, things were already a blur for me. I was now drunk.
Right.
I was now like drunk.
Right.
So I remember like always slightly moving, things having like blur to them in a way, not really being totally in control of like how quickly my body parts move. Like I would try to move my arm and knock some shit over because I would move it too fast or something, you know.
Right.
But I was loving it. It was
You were
so
feeling it,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so fun. I was having the time of my life. Let me get back. And then phase 4 hits because it just keeps ramping.
Right.
And I had a lot of alcohol to go through.
Right.
And phase 4, this is the like, no, you're too drunk. And this,
Let me off of the ride.
when does this stop?
Yeah.
Right? It got rough, dude. First off, I started having nausea pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, it was 60 degrees out, and it was pitch black at night.
Okay.
So it was very cold out. The only shirt I had was a thin, fitted, white button-up. You've seen that button-up. I wore it one time when I went to where you used to live, and me and Micah were on the microphones doing the beatboxing.
Oh, back when I was on...
You don't have to say it, because we're...
Yeah. No, I mean, I
Okay.
used to live there, so it doesn't matter now. It was Dessau, back on Dessau.
Right.
Yeah,
So
okay.
That white shirt that I had that night, same one.
Wow, okay.
So that's very thin and offers you no protection from the elements.
Got you.
I was cold as fuck. And I remember being in the back, outside, behind the shop, and I was curled into a ball, and I was laying down on my side, and I was shivering because I was so drunk I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Right.
My stomach, my abdomen was getting sore from throwing up. It was getting sore from throwing up. It felt like I had done sit-ups, like 1,000 sit-ups.
Yeah.
And I remember I would just shiver and occasionally get up, throw up, or dry heave, whichever came first, and then go back down and lay down. And I remember having a moment to myself, dude, this is not a joke. Like, have you ever had that moment to yourself where you're so fucked up that you start like reasoning with God?
I've been at that point to where I would just be like, God, like,
Yes,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Because it was my first time ever experiencing this.
Yeah.
Now I know, I'm just too drunk.
Right.
But at that time, I was like, God, if you're real, please just make this stop. Like, all I want in my life is for this very moment to stop.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Make it go away.
Make it go away. And it just kept going, dude. And I had a really good friend of mine who kept bringing me into like the front lobby because no one was in the front lobby. It was dark. And he'd have me in the corner and he kept giving me water.
Right.
He kept forcing me to drink water. And I remember being like, dude, what's the point? I'm just going to throw this up anyway. He's like, you need to have something to throw up. Drink the water. Just drink the water. And he might have actually saved me because I didn't know this until later. I actually got alcohol poisoning from that night.
Yeah.
I drank so much alcohol that I got like pretty bad alcohol poisoning. Stage 5, blackout. I do not remember anything that happened in stage 5. I remember being in this room, being forced drunk water. I remember Micah throwing up all over the owner's dog bed. No, you know what? He threw up around the dog bed, and he was sleeping in the dog bed. He was just curled up, laying in the dog, because he was as fucked up as I was. He didn't know either.
Unbelievable. Okay.
And then I remember cleaning up Micah's throw up. I remember cleaning it up for him while I was drunk, you know, and him going back and sleeping on the dog bed. But you know, obviously Nick took me home at a certain point. And I'll wrap up my story by saying this. The next day, I came clean with my dad. I told him everything that happened. I was just immediately honest. I was like, Dad, this is what I did. This is what happened. And he had me sit. We had a fireplace.
Uh-huh.
I love fireplaces. And he had me sit next to the fireplace. Fuck you. He had me sit next to the fireplace with my back to it, and I just drank some water. And like my cats were there, you know, and they were around me.
Right.
I just sat there warm, just drinking water, because I was experiencing intoxication, like being drunk, until 5 p.m. the next day.
Yeah.
I've never, since then, I have never drunk enough alcohol to be drunk until halfway through the next day.
I've only had that happen once too. Yeah.
So that is I'm leaving out some details.
Okay.
But that was my first experience drinking alcohol. And I'll just quickly say, for 2 years after that, anytime I smelled something that had strong alcohol content, I got sick. Like I just felt like I would gag, you know? It took like 2 years for my brain to stop associating liquor with poisoning.
Right.
Because that's what I did.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my first time drinking.
Wow, that's actually a pretty intense story. Like, I didn't think it would be that intense, but yeah, that's pretty good. My story isn't about me. I always like wait to tell this story, but I really think that this story like deserves to be heard. So, and it's really, really funny to me. So I have, I have two of my closest friends in the military were Park and Tubon. You've met them. You met Park twice. You met Tubon once. When you met Tubon, that was when we came down for Christmas from our duty station. We came down for Christmas, and we were just hanging out, right?
Yeah.
An important part of that trip was that I bought my parents' car, and we were going to drive it back to North Carolina. So we go here, we have fun, and we go out drinking and stuff like that, and we have a good Christmas and stuff. And after that trip, we all load up into the car and we drive to North Carolina, right? Park had been going through a rough patch in his relationship with his girlfriend at the time, and he's the type of guy that when he gets drunk and he's like in an emotional state, like that's just the state he's in for the entire time, and like you can't get him out of it, right? And so he would be like that a lot while we were drinking in Texas. But an important part of what happens in this story is that when it was New Year's Eve, we got to South Carolina, we got to Myrtle Beach, and we decided to stay there for the night because we had pretty much drove the entire way up until that point. We didn't like go and stop at a hotel or anything. So we were going to stop in a hotel at Myrtle Beach and, enjoy, have like a party or something for like New Year's, right?
Right.
It was going to be fun. It was me, Tubon, and Park. And so we start pre-gaming. We go out and get some alcohol. We start pre-gaming. And we're staying at a hotel that's like right across the street from like the main strip of the beach where all the parties were happening and stuff like that.
Right.
So it was like within pretty good walking distance. It was probably like a 15-20 minute walk to the main area, right?
Right.
So we start pre-gaming, and we go So it's going to sound bad. Anybody who's ever been in the military who's listened to this, you'll understand it more than civilians. But civilians just know that it's not as serious as it sounds. We get to the club, right? We get to one of the first clubs we go to, and Tuban breaks off from us. Tuban breaks off and he starts going out and he's partying and stuff like that. And I'm watching Park, basically. The way it works with...
And Park is, like you said earlier, going through some emotional shit.
Yes. And I'm watching Park. And the way it works with our friend group is that when we drink, it's basically a race to see who can get the drunkest the fastest, so we don't have to babysit the other two or the other guys that are there. And so
sounds like a good system you have.
Yeah. So whoever's the least drunk, by the time that everyone's in a good space, is the babysitter. That night I lost, by which I mean I was the least drunk. Tuban was already gone, and he was out partying, dancing with girls and stuff like that. Park is like, he's feeling himself, but he's like, at the time we got to the club, he was like, okay. So I go to the dance floor and I'm starting to dance and enjoy myself and stuff like that.
And he's doing all right.
And he was doing relatively okay. He just went and got he went to the bar and like got a beer for himself or something like that. And I went to the dance floor. And I was dancing and stuff like that. And like I saw Tuban on the dance floor. We're having a good time. And I end up like walking to like the kind of the back of the dance floor and stuff like that. And like I end up there and I'm dancing. And then all of a sudden I feel somebody like tap me on the shoulder. And it's like a big ass security guard.
That's never what you want to experience at a club.
It's never. And I'm like, oh shit, what did I do?
Yeah.
And he's like, you're with him, right? And like I look up, there's like a balcony.
Oh.
There's like a.
He's pointing up.
Yes, there's like a. Sometimes they'll have like the dance floor and there's like a balcony.
Yeah, there's like an overwatching balcony.
You can overwatch. Yeah. And he points up to the balcony. He's like, "You're with him, right?" And I see Park, like threatening to jump off of the top of the balcony.
No way.
He's like playing like he's going to he's gonna end it all. And so.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So he's like, huh? But he's not serious. Because that's like it's like a joke for us for the most part, but he's not serious about it.
Is he like standing normally? Is he on the railing?
He's on the railing.
Oh god!
And he's like,
he might slip just because he's intoxicated.
Exactly. He's like jumping a little bit. He's like, I'm not gonna do it.
Okay, I want to know. I gotta know. Sorry to interrupt your story, but
right.
When you turn and you look up at Park and you see the situation, you understand the situation, right? But bodyguard's pointing up. He's like, "Is that guy with you?" You see what he's doing. What goes through your mind? I just gotta know. What's the first thing that goes through your mind?
So like the first thing is like, first thing is like, shit, right? I'm like, oh my god, dude.
Is this really happening right now?
Yeah, because he's like, oh man, the whole night and like. Even up until like when we were in Texas, he was just going on and on about his girlfriend because he was sad and stuff like that, and he was like really emotional about it, and like I knew the kind of mindset he was in, and we thought that he'd be okay because it was just us, we're just having a good time, but his girlfriend and him would call each other all the time. She was stationed in Spain at the time, and so she would call at different times than like normal. And like they would always be texting and calling and stuff like that. So sometimes she would call him or text him and like tell him they would get into like a fight or an argument or something like that, and then his mood would be shot for the rest of the day. I think that happened. So I think that I'm not really sure. Whenever I asked, he doesn't really remember that night. So I go up there. I look and I'm like, yeah, he's with me. And so I go up. Up there with him.
He's like, you gotta go.
Yeah, he's like, he can't stay here. You got to get him out of here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, all right.
What are you gonna do? Argue with this fucking 7 foot?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I have to leave Tuban in the club. I grab Park and I start to bring him out of the club. Herein lies the problem. In the Marine Corps, it's like no man left behind, right? We don't leave anybody behind for like really any reason. And you're always supposed to watch out for your guys and stuff, right?
Right.
This was something that Park remembered even while he was drunk. And so he was like, no, bro, we have to go back for Tuban, blah, blah. We have to go back. And I'm like, no, Tuban's fine. We have to get you to the hotel. I'll get you to the hotel. And
you just stay in the hotel.
You just stay in the hotel. You're going to be fine. I'll come back and get Tuban. All right? And he's like, no, I gotta go back and get him. You know, we have to go back and get him, stuff like that. Here's the other problem with this scenario. Park is fucking strong. Huge, strong guy. He's like, Park and Tuban like work out a lot. And the dude can like bench press like over 300 pounds. It's crazy. Wow. Yeah. And so he is way stronger than I am, right?
And he's trying to get back there.
And he's trying his heart. Like, think about like trying to get somebody who's like way stronger than you are to go somewhere they do not want to go.
Right.
Also, they don't have very good control over their, center of gravity, and they're kind of falling all over themselves,
throwing their weight around.
Yes, throwing their weight around and everything. So I had to and on Myrtle Beach, like on the boardwalk, there's a lot of poles. So I would have to drag Park. I'm drunk too at this point. I'm pretty there, right?
Right.
And so I'm dragging Park back to the hotel, and every time we passed a pole, every time we passed a bench, every time we passed a trash can that was bolted into the ground, he would lock on for fucking life to try and go back to the club to get Tuban. And I would have to peel his hands off of the whatever he was holding and like hold both of his arms behind his back and like drag him at the same time. In public, the whole time, people are like watching us.
They're like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?"
It was so embarrassing, and he was just fighting me the whole time. I had at one point this funny part. One point, I had both of his arms behind his back, and like he was trying to like walk forward, and I guess it was like wet on the ground, and he slips and just face plants into the ground, and I'm like, oh, I tried to tell you. and so I get him back up, and like at this point it's probably like 11:30, 11:45 on New Year's, and like, you know, I'm definitely gonna miss the ball dropping and stuff like that, and everything, and I'm like, this is just sucks. I'm exhausted at this point.
Right. You've basically been fighting this dude.
Yeah, because I've been physically fighting him all the way back. We get onto a bridge. There's like a bridge on the way back, and it has two handrails that he just locks onto every time. So either side that he just locks onto, and he's like, "We gotta go back for Tuban. I want to make sure that he's okay." And I'm like, "Dude, he's okay. It's fine."
I promise.
He's like, "No, I want to make sure. I just gotta make sure and stuff." And I'm like, "No, it's fine."
I mean, he can't go in there. The security won't let him in.
You literally can't. We have to go. And so I'm dragging him back, and it gets to the point to where, like, I guess this nice couple sees me struggling with this dude, and they stop what they're doing to come help me take him back to the hotel. And they're like, "Hey, do you need any help?" And I'm like, please please,
I'm running out of energy.
And so the guy helps me grab him, and they take us all the way to the crosswalk, and then they go, and I'm like, "Thank you so much, please enjoy your New Year's, I'm so sorry you had to deal with this," and blah blah blah. And they're like, "No, it's fine, we get it," stuff like that. So I get I get Park up into the hotel. He he gets into the elevator, and we get up into the floor. I think we're on like the 3rd floor. We get into the 3rd floor. The door opens, and like I get him down the hall, and I like put the key card in the door, and then I see him run off and like bang on a door down the hallway. And
what?
It was some random person's door down
Oh
the
my
hallway.
God.
And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, stop. And I'm like, come over here. And like he comes over, and we quickly like get in the thing before they can open the door.
Oh my God.
And like I just close the door, and like I put him in the bed. I put him in the rest position, and like I give him water and stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, man. I think he either texted his mom, or his mom texted him, or called, or something like that. And I talked to his mom, and I'm like, yeah, I just got him back, and like he's fine, blah blah. I'm just gonna go get Tubon, and then we're gonna be done for the night. And so I'm like, all right, man, you stay here, and I'll go get Tubon, and then we'll like just call it a night. And he's like, no, I want to go with you to get Tubon. I'm good now. God. And I'm like, no, dude, just go to sleep. And like he starts falling asleep. So I'm like, good. I walk all the way back.
Oh my God.
I walk all the way back. It probably took me an hour to get him back into the hotel. I walk all the way back to the club, and I find Tubon, and I'm like, he's like, where'd you guys go, bro? The ball had dropped by that point, and he was like, oh, dog, it was great. The ball dropped. I made out with this hot chick, blah blah.
Oh,
and I'm like,
great evening.
I'm so glad that you had like so much fun, Tubon. We gotta go. Park's like gone, and I like explained to him what happened.
Right.
And he's like, all right, dog, let's go. And then like I walk back with Tubon. We get back to the hotel. We go up to the elevator, go up, get in a room, open the door. Park's gone.
Oh my fucking God.
Park's gone. His shoes are there. He's not. His phone's there.
He left his phone?
He left his phone. And our friend is gone. And like at this point, you asked earlier, like, what was the first thing I thought? The first thing I thought now was like, oh my God, my friend's dead.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Like, oh my God, my friend's dead. And
my friend is missing.
And I'm going to lose everything that I've gotten from the Marine Corps, because now I'm going to get charged with an NJP because I let him, go out and drink, like, get this bad. And
sure.
I'm like, wow.
It's all over.
It's all over.
But you start catastrophizing, right?
Yeah. And so I was like, okay. And like me and Tubon are freaking the fuck out. I'm like,
but eventually you got to be like, what do we do?
I was like, he was right here. He was sleeping right here. And he was like, oh, where the fuck did he go, dog? And so we go downstairs, and like we're looking around for him. Like, there's no sign of this dude. We have no way to contact him.
Yeah.
We have no way to. We don't know how long he's been gone, because it took me like 15 minutes to walk to and back from the.
Sure.
Yeah. So
he
it was
could
like
have gotten
30 minutes.
a good distance away by that time.
He could be anywhere on New Year's Eve in Myrtle Beach. Anywhere. And so we go outside, and we're like looking, and like we're calling, Park, where are you? Blah blah. And then we're like, we like do a couple laps around the building, and then we go inside, and we're at the lobby, and me and Tubon are talking, and we're like, dude, I think now is like the time where we have to call the police.
Yeah. And call the mom.
Or yeah, we gotta call the police. We gotta talk.
File
to the
a
people
missing persons report.
Exactly. Like, there's no way we can find them. And like I'm like walking up to the hotel desk to tell these people, like, hey, I gotta call the police. My friend's gone.
Yeah.
And I look, and there's like a door, and Park comes walking in.
What?
The door, and I'm like do a straight 90-degree turn straight to him, and I'm like, where the fuck were you? Blah blah. He was like, oh, dog, I was sitting in this field. Like, I looked down, he's wearing his socks are soaked.
He just went outside
with
in
his socks, and his socks are soaked, and he was like, oh, I was just sitting out in this field, and I was just looking at this field, and it was like, oh, I can't find you guys, so I decided to come back. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, dude, we thought you were dead.
Yeah.
And then we get him back into the hotel and put him down and like lock the door, and like one of us is like sitting in front of the door until he's out.
Yeah.
But that was like the worst night of drinking that I think I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, that
dude.
sounds terrible, man.
It was a fucking nightmare, dude. And I love it because it was just so funny.
It's one of those things that's funny now that you can look back.
Yes.
But at the time, you're like, this fucking sucks, dude.
It was like a fucking movie when I opened the door and he wasn't there.
You're like, there's no fucking way, dude.
It was like The Hangover, bro.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Damn,
dude.
dude.
Great times, bro.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everyone has those moments for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure I have moments ahead of me. But, I'm glad everyone is all right in that situation. And, since then, y'all have been cool. But, yeah, man, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah. And that was like... And then we had to get up early the next morning and make it back to North Carolina. So we were driving the next day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so like we didn't even get to rest from it. And so yeah, it's just a wild.
Well, if there's any lesson to learn from this, if you're listening, go have fun, party, hang out with your friends.
Yep.
Experience those things together.
Yes.
Maybe even do a little bit of risky stuff. But at the end of the day, be fucking safe.
Be safe.
Be responsible.
Yeah. Look out for each other out there.
Don't do what Park did.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Don't just leave the group, okay? And don't jump off a railing.
Yeah.
None of that. No railings. Stay away from railings.
Yeah.
Especially high up. Don't
tell bouncers that you're threatening to kill yourself.
Yeah, don't go to the security staff and tell them that you're going to jump. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Be safe above all, okay? Because that's what is most important, is that everybody's going to be okay. So just enjoy yourself, but don't take it too far.
Right. Well, with that said, we're going to go ahead and get out of here and skedaddle because tonight is another night.
Yup, another night. We're going to go to the domain.
Yes, sir. All right. So, just like always, you never know what anybody's going through, especially if they're threatening to throw themselves off a balcony. So be kind to everybody. And with that, we'll see you later.
See y'all later.